Whether you are starting out on Shopify or already selling there, you should check out this new analytics tool created by Sellerboard, which improves your selling strategy. In this video, you will learn how to use different Sellerboard dashboards for Shopify to gain in-depth overview of your sales, orders, returns, advertising costs, and net profit to make better data-based decisions for your business, e-commerce, business on Shopify, or even on Amazon. If you want to try it yourself, find the link below in the video description to check Sellerboard for yourself.
Hello, Alex. I'm happy to have you back on Orange Click channel today to talk about a new software Sellerboard has built specifically for Shopify sellers to help them to get better analytics and data about their sales and how they're doing. As always, before we go into the demo of the tool, could you first introduce yourself and also give us a brief overview of what Sellerboard in general is and how do you usually help Amazon sellers mostly?
Yes, thank you, Lizette, again for the invitation. Pleasure to be here. My name is Alex. I'm a part of the marketing team at Sellerboard, and Sellerboard is a profit analytics software, and not only for Amazon sellers, but also as of recently for Shopify sellers as well. And basically, we do the same thing all across different channels. We give the value of understanding the numbers and the profitability for the sellers, whichever the platform can be. So today I'm going to do a short presentation of Sellerboard for Shopify and explain what are the main, I would say, advantages and what are the main takeaways of how Shopify sellers can use the software to their benefit.
Okay, it sounds very exciting because I know talking to a lot of different sellers and going to different events, Amazon sellers are really loving the analytics part you're providing for them because it's always very accurate compared to some other alternatives. So probably Shopify sellers should now, or like sellers or e-commerce sellers who are on Shopify should be excited about this new software. So yeah, as always, let's go straight into it and show us what you have to develop for us.
All right. Thank you, Lizette. That's great to hear. Okay, so first things first, Sellerboard for Shopify is a profit analytics software for Shopify sellers. And for those who do sales on Amazon as well, this profit analytics dashboard should look pretty familiar because the UI is very similar to the Sellerboard for Amazon software. But for those who are new, so this is the profit analytics dashboard that gives you the option to understand at a glance how well you're performing in terms of your profitability. And you can do it on several levels. You can do it on an account level. You can do it on a product level and really drill down into the details that help you understand, what are the, main components of your profit calculations when you end up with a certain profit at the end of the day. All right, so without further ado, the Profit Analytics Dashboard has several views: the Tiles view, Chart view, Profit and Loss view, and the Trends view. We're going to start with the first one, the Tiles view. These are the tiles that give you the info regarding your main KPIs for different time periods. These are totally customizable, so by default, you can compare your performance today versus yesterday, have the info to month to day, the previous month, and this month, with a forecast up until the end of the month. Like we are now in the middle of the month, and you can have a forecast of what your numbers should potentially look like by the end of the month, given the sales velocity that you have at the moment. All right, so let's take a look at what the main KPIs here are. Obviously, your sales, number of orders or units you've sold, your returns, advertising costs, your blended return on advertising spent, and your net profit at the end. But you're not only presented with these values right here. You can also click on more on any given tile and actually drill down into the details. So see how your calculations for profitability were made. So you're going to have your sales, and those will be divided into gross sales with promos that ran in this time frame. So those will be deducted from your gross sales. And so the shipping that was attributed to the sales that you had in this period. Number of orders, number of units sold, then you will have your returns, advertising costs, To stop a little bit here, so we have a very powerful attribution mechanism for your external marketing channels. And what you will normally do is after you connect your Shopify account to your seller board for Shopify, then you will also connect your external marketing channels like Google, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and other channels. So, and we'll pull the information regarding your advertising costs from there and attribute those costs to the sales that you have in your Shopify account. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm going to present it in more detail in a minute, just to know that you will also see those costs right here under the advertising costs tab in your profitability calculations. So then you will have your shipping costs and your payment fees, or in other words, your gateway fees, your obviously cost of goods, taxes that you might pay in your region, your additional expenses, which are the overhead expenses that you might have that are not necessarily related to your shipping or to your transaction fees, but something that also is a part of the business but goes outside of that list. And then you will be presented with your net profit and some other metrics that might come in handy for you to understand, where you're standing in terms of profitability. Under the tiles, which, by the way, I already mentioned, are customizable. You can select a specific, time frame that you're interested in for each tile. You have a list of products that have been sold in this period. Or alternatively, you can switch to the order view and see a list of orders that you had in that period. So by that period, I mean the one selected up here. So right now, as you can see by this green line under the tile, I have the today tile selected. Let's switch just for demonstration purposes for last month, for instance, right here. And you will see a list of all your products sold in last month, right? So what are the main metrics that you're presented with? You will have units sold, returns, sales, advertising costs, your gross profit, net profit, your margin calculated, and not only. So what you can do is click on this button on the right of the list and see another set of metrics you can throw in the spreadsheet just for analysis. So for instance, if I want to see how my payment fees affected my profitability, I can check that box and see them over here, right? Then you can go ahead and group your products by different parameters, or you can also download all of this information in a CSV file if you want to share it, or maybe you can do an analysis of your own. So taking a look at what we have for each product, right? So we have the SKU, we have the name of the product, we have the price, and we have the cost of goods right here. You have quick access to changing your cost of goods from this part of the screen, but this is just like a gateway to what you normally have in the products tab. I'm going to get there in a second. All right, so these are the main things on the tiles view. The chart view is basically a way of analyzing the dynamics for specific parameters on an account level. So you can choose which one you are interested in, right? By default, we have the units sold, advertising cost, returns, net profit, but you can go ahead and click on the the configuration button and choose which metrics you're interested in. And then maybe select a different time frame that you want to analyze. And then the graph will change. So depending on the input you will give. The same applies as the details on the tiles page. You will also have the details with the ability to expand every tab here on the right, just to analyze this particular period on an account level. And the products sold in that period selected, you will have underneath as exactly the same as in the tiles view. So switching to the profit and loss view, this is basically a bird's eye view on your account, giving you an option to analyze, how your main KPIs evolved over time. For instance, month by month, or you can switch to day by day in the last 30 days, or select a different custom range and just drill down into specific areas of your business just to understand, how the metrics evolved, and maybe you need to pay attention to some areas like shipping or, cost of goods, or the number of, not the number, maybe the payment fees that you had, if they've affected your profitability more and more over time, then maybe you need to take a look into that and see what you can do about it. So, and the last view is the trends view, which is basically a way of analyzing trends on a product level for specific metrics, right? So what you will normally do is select a metric that you are interested in, right? So the sales, units sold, returns, and so on and so forth. For instance, let's analyze the blended POAS. So what it is the profit on advertising spend. So normally sellers analyze their advertising cost of sales, and that heavily relies, on the sales that you made. But sometimes it's important to see how your profit relates actually to your advertising cost that you had. So this is another metric that we introduced. For this time frame, I've selected, I have no data available in the demo account. So let's switch back, for instance, I don't know, refund costs. Let's analyze those. Also no data. Okay, going back to the sales, the safe space. So just to show you, normally, of course, in your real account, when you will have your data uploaded to Sellerboard for Shopify, you will have numbers there to analyze. I'm just reminding this is a demo account. So for demonstration purposes, how this works, you will have a list of products. After you select a metric you're interested in, you will have a list of products. You will have the values, right, for the month by month, or for instance, if I'm selecting day by day for the last 30 days, just to see in greater detail how the values evolved. And then I will be presented with the charts just to graphically really understand whether there's a trend or not. So this comes in handy when you want to see, the evolution of metrics on the product level. So this is basically it. You can also, for all of these views, download the data in a CSV file or an XLS file. This is always useful, right? And now let me show you the other functions available for Shopify sellers. So the next up is the marketing module. And this is something that we've introduced some time ago. And we really take pride into the work we've done here, because one of the important problems that Shopify sellers, have is the fact that when you connect your advertising efforts to your Shopify account, for instance, if you start sending traffic from your social media or from Google Ads, then the whole attribution thing becomes a little bit complicated, because of course you will install the pixels on your website and you will see, the conversions on your advertising account. But given the fact that there have been significant changes in the whole, I would say, ecosystem of attribution in the last time, the third-party data is not so much available and not so accurate in the last time. So given the changes in the iOS 14.5, I think, if it's the case, and the latest changes in most of the browsers, the internet browsers, so these changes led to the fact that the data in cookies and the third-party data in general is not as relevant as it was before. So this is why the attribution that you will normally see in your advertising account will not be as accurate as the attribution that we do with Sellerboard. Let me show you how it works. So first of all, we have in the marketing dashboard, we have the chart that gives you information on sales and profit and ad spend, so you can analyze the overall performance of your marketing campaigns by channel. If you want, you can also include other metrics over here. And what you can also do is analyze separately, not your overall numbers, but your performance per advertising channel. And besides that, you will also have information regarding sales and other profitability calculation metrics specifically for your advertising sales. So, the sales that you did as a result of your advertising efforts. So you'll have all of that here on the right. And at the bottom, you will have your advertising platforms with the possibility to analyze the main metrics for the advertising performance on an ad platform account. And then if I expand that on an advertising account level also, and on an ad group level, and finally on a campaign level. So all of these levels will be available to you for analysis. And another important thing here is, as you can maybe see over here, we have two main columns, big columns, as I can call them maybe. So we have data reported by ad platform, and we have attributed by seller board. So basically, these are two similar sets of data, but the first group of data we pull from the advertising account from your ad platform, and it is not that accurate in terms of attribution as the data that we have over here on the right and is marked attributed by seller board, because we use the first party pixel and the first party data that Shopify provides. So we have like the data regarding attribution from first hand from the your customers, right? Rather than having it from the advertising platform where it comes as a third party data source. So our data is more accurate. And why that happens? Because for instance, if a customer, imagine a situation, if a customer saw an ad, right? So he clicked on an ad and he accessed your website, but he didn't make the sale, didn't make the purchase instantly, but he came back to your website like in several days, and then he purchased the product on your website. For an advertising platform, that would normally not count as an advertising sale. But for Shopify, given the fact that Shopify already has the first source, the first party data, a sale will be actually attributed to the advertising effort made by the advertising platform. So the traffic source will be the same, and we can track that because we get data from Shopify. Let me show you how it works. So for instance, if we analyze Facebook and we want to analyze the attribution model there, so we'll normally see the list of orders. By the way, I have totally skipped the metrics that we have, but these are, if you're familiar with advertising, you will recognize all of them. Basically, we'll have the ad spend, impressions, your CPM, CTR, return on advertising spend. So normally, and of course, the sales attributed to these advertising efforts, normally all of the metrics that you will expect to analyze your advertising performance, right? And then if you'll click on orders right here under the attributed by seller board, then you will see a list of orders that were generated by this particular campaign that we're analyzing. And if you want to analyze, for instance, the customer journey for a particular order, this is where you will see all of the information that we've pulled from Shopify just to make that attribution, because we analyze the UTM data that comes with the order, and also other data like, the landing page that the customer landed on, and the refer URL, so from which website the customer came to us. And also, we know exactly when the customer first visited the website and when he last visited the website. And so our attribution model works either on the first visit or the last visit of the customer. And given all of this data set from Shopify, we can actually try to attribute the sale to the advertising effort given the data that we have. So if we don't have a certain set of data metrics, then we will switch the other ones. But given the fact that Shopify provides a very large range of data, we can actually say that our attribution model is a lot more accurate than the advertising platform data and attribution that they do. All right, so this is very briefly regarding the marketing dashboard. Given the time that we have, I also want to quickly cover the other modules that we have, like the lifetime value dashboard. This is basically a dashboard that gives you the understanding how much repeat business are you doing with your customers. So what we have here are tiles that represent different time frames, right? So last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. And the main metrics regarding your lifetime value data, right? So like the accumulated sales per buyer, this is the metric to give you an understanding in his lifetime how much a customer will normally spend with your business, like on average. And then you'll have the same number in units, and then you will have like the same number in orders. And also what you can do is have an estimation of an accumulated profit per buyer, right? Given all of the other information that we have. And then you will have the information regarding the number of your customers, your customer acquisition costs, and this can give you an overall understanding of how well you're performing as a business with repeat business for customers. But you can go ahead and analyze the same on the product level, just to see how well your products are performing in terms of doing repeat business, right? So for which products are the customers actually returning to your website? Right. This is a brief overview of the lifetime value dashboard. Let's move on to the product step. So after you connect your Shopify account to Sellerboard for Shopify, the next thing you would normally do is give some input regarding several things. First of all, what is the model of cost of goods that you want to work with? Because there are several options. In general, I want to kind of highlight the fact that Sellerboard for Shopify gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of to adapt the tool to your specific business model. And we have the options for private label sellers, as well as, wholesale sellers, and as well as drop shippers. So all of the business models can fine tune the tool to their specific needs. And for instance, having different options to input your cost of goods is one of the ways that we, give this flexibility. So you can choose to import your cost of goods sold from Shopify, input it as a constant, do it by period or batch, or maybe if you're a drop shipper, then the percentage of price or maybe a tiered cost will be a more appropriate model for you. For instance, what a tiered cost means is that depending on the number of the products that the customer will have in an order, that means that you might have decreasing cost of goods per unit. So this is a model that is commonly applied, for the manufacturers if you are ordering directly from the manufacturer. So basically, it boils down to the more you buy, the less you pay for the per unit, right? So you have these options. Also, in the products tab over here, you can create tags for products, so you can analyze them in specific groups later, depending on how you're analyzing data. You can choose the shipping profile, which is very important for on a product level for your products over here. I'm going to show you how the shipping profiles work in a second. And and you can have information regarding your profit per unit calculation that will just give you an understanding, how profitable is to sell a specific product or not, given all of the costs that you have associated with that product. So let's move on. The shipping costs tab. Over here, you will create your shipping profiles. So by default, you will have one general shipping profile, this one, which you can edit, right? And tell Sellerboard for Shopify, how do you want your shipping cost calculated, right? So you have several options. Either you want, the shipping cost to be equal to what the customer paid for shipping, or you want to do it depending on the price of the product, or depending on the units inside of the product inside an order, or maybe on the weight of the package. So either of these three options down here, if you choose one of them, then you will be presented with a grid that will basically give you two options, a value for the domestic shipping and a value for the rest of the world. And then you will just create as many, variations as you want. So for instance, the first frame, like the package, if I will tell Shopify, Sellerboard for Shopify, if my package is in a price frame from X to Y, then please make the shipping cost Z. Or then choosing another time frame, then if my package cost will be higher than that in another price frame, then take into account another shipping cost. So you can create as many segments, right? Price segments, I guess, for your shipping calculations as you want. And the same applies for a number of units and for weight. So you can create kind of tiers for your shipping cost calculations. But this is the general profile, and you can also go ahead and create other profiles, given the fact that maybe you have different types of products, and you can give it a name. You can select a time frame when this shipping profile will be active. You can choose whether you want to apply it to all products or choose specific products, and have different shipping cost calculation models for different models, for different products, and then apply different rules, different shipping methods, because you can have several, one of them. Okay, so coming back to the shipping costs, I wanted to mention the fact that we also give the option to account for the cost you have attributed with your returns, because every time when the customer returns a product, it might mean, an additional cost for you. And what you can do is go to the shipping cost for returns and choose how do you want to account for that. So either you will choose a fixed amount per returned order, or you will not take that into calculation, so choose a no shipping per cost, right? So these are the options for accounting for the returns. And then let's move on to pick and pack, right? So there are several options how you can account for that. First of all, of course, you will input a price per package or a price per item, depending, how you calculate your pick and pack costs. And then there sometimes might be a situation when the service provider that does your picking and packing, they might say, all right, so we will charge you a certain amount of per unit for the first unit or for the first several units. And then if you will have more than one unit inside this specific order to pick and pack, then the price might be lower, right? So this will only make sense because, if someone approaches a certain, storage area and then takes not one unit of the product, but several, then it's easier for them. So you will have less costs associated with picking and packing. So you can also account for that. Then you can say, okay, there's a different price per item for the first X items. Generally, it is a bit higher. So you can say how many of those and what the price is. And then the same thing goes for picking and packing your returns, right? This is where you will input your costs for handling those returns in terms of picking and packing. Next up, the payment fees. As you know, there are a lot of payment fees depending on the service provider, how the customer pays. And you can also account for all of these fees, input them here and have them included in your profitability calculations. So this is the place to do it. Indirect expenses. The indirect expenses is basically a dashboard where you can take into account all of your overhead expenses that you have with your Shopify business, right? So you might have services as photography, as text consultants, as maybe someone else on the team like a virtual assistant. Maybe you're paying for subscription like Sellerboard, right? So you can account for all of that here. All you have to do is click on the blue add button, give it a name, give it a price, then select whether it's a one-time cost or it's a recurring thing. Maybe it recurs, monthly, weekly, yearly. And then if it's an advertising cost, you can also account for that. If it's something outside of the standard marketing channels that you would connect to your account, then you would give it a category so you can manage your expenses more easily and maybe attribute a specific expense to a product, not to attribute to all of your products in the list, but only to specific products. This is the place to do it. So when you will do it, then these expenses will be subtracted from your gross profit, and then you will be left with the net profit. This is how the calculations are made. Finally, you have some basic reports that you can download here. So the dashboards by day, month, by product, number of orders, and the information for them. And obviously information regarding sales by product per month. So if you want to see how your products performed. Then this is the place, next step, integrations to connect all of your accounts outside of Shopify, like Facebook, Google Ads, TikTok, Snapchat. We've recently introduced Bing and also added it to the list. Yeah, and last thing, the settings step. Over here, you have some also important things that you might use to fine-tune your profitability calculation model. So when we're talking about refund calculation, first thing you want to think about is if you have returns, how do you account for the cost of goods of those products? So you have two options. You can either choose to to specify the cost of goods as 0 for all refunded orders, or only for the restocked items. So this is an important thing to set up. Depending on whether you're doing drop shipping or whether you're doing, private label, these options will help you, set it up. Then you have the option to see how your refunded orders are displayed by refund date or by their original order date, just to navigate more easily. Then regarding shipping calculation. So if you have several different products in your order, right, in one order, and those products have different shipping profiles and different shipping cost calculation methods, then you can choose how do you want to account for shipping, right, for that specific order. And you have two options. Either you can sum up the shipping costs for those two different units, or you can use the highest shipping costs for the unit that has the highest shipping costs. So these are the options. Then for your cost of goods, you can obviously when you import your products from Shopify, you can have by default one method of adding the cost of goods for your new products. And you can select which one. So you can either pull the information from Shopify, input the cost of goods as a constant, or maybe do it as a percentage of the price. And you can also go ahead and apply it to all of your products. Then you have some exclusion options. I will not go through those, but those are really also helpful. Maybe one. Okay, let me include one. You can, for instance, if you're having different channels for which you're receiving sales to your Shopify, right? Maybe the website itself, maybe you have like an outside service, I don't know, like flip.shop, or maybe like Snappy or other services like do the sales and they send the customers to your Shopify store. So these are different channels, and you can exclude some of them if you want to analyze solely specific channels and not take into account the other ones. This is the place to do it. So then you have some other settings. One of them I wanted to show you is the possibility to add additional users to your Shopify, to your Seller Report for Shopify account. If you're working in a team, then all it takes is basically going to this tab in the settings menu, then clicking on Add User, specifying the email for that user, and then choosing the access settings, I guess, right? So grant access to specific portions of the Seller Board for Shopify software, right? So maybe you will have someone just taking care of the products, or maybe taking care of your marketing efforts, and then you can specify that here. And also you can restrict access on the product level. So you can choose whether this new invited user will have access to all your products, or maybe only specific products you will choose from this list. Yes, I think this is it. I've made it. I didn't think I would be able to, but I did it. Thank you, Lizette, for the additional time.
Thank you so much, Alex, for such a good overview. I think, within quite short time frame, you were able to go through a lot of these tools, and not only just like show what there is, but actually how sellers are able to customize different features and different dashboards for themselves. So I think we can all agree that the software provides a lot of data points, and again, is highly customizable for the user. I think it's super great. Obviously, if there are Shopify sellers watching us right now, they know already what they might have been missing out in terms of like analytics and data points, and maybe they're already using some kind of other software to kind of get some of the data, and they can see pretty clearly why they should choose your software over the other ones. But if they're, let's say, Amazon sellers watching us right now, and they're just in the beginning of starting their Shopify store, and they're kind of deciding in between different software. So if you just kind of summarize everything you showcased to us today, what would be kind of the main reason or two main reasons why Amazon sellers should opt in for Sellerboard for Shopify software instead of other alternatives?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, if we're talking about Amazon sellers that want to diversify their sales channels, I applaud that. I encourage that, because Shopify is a highly underrated channel for generating additional sales. You don't have a lot of fees that come with selling on Amazon. That's a very big plus. So, but there's, the challenge of attracting the customers to your Shopify store. And that is when it becomes tricky, because you need to connect all of your advertising channels and then account for how much you're spending there, right? On attracting these new customers. And another thing is to how you account for your shipping that you're doing, because you're not doing FBA anymore, right? You have to do it by yourself. So these two main things, I would highlight in terms of, first of all, the accuracy of the advertising costs attribution that we do. This is very important, to understand how much you're spending on attracting a customer, and are you still profitable with that advertising channel or not? And the second thing is the flexibility, as you mentioned, of fine-tuning your shipping costs model profile, and also fine-tuning how you're accounting for your cost of goods. So these would be the two main, I would say, pylons that the Sellerboard for Shopify is standing on. And obviously, the profitability calculations accuracy that Sellerboard is known for.
Okay, very good. And as this is a new software, Sellerboard, brought to the market for Shopify sellers, then feel free, if you're watching this video or starting to use the software yourself, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the video comments below, so we can ask Alex and Sellerboard to come back to the video and answer, because we're here to kind of help you get started or get better analytics for your business. So yeah, we can do that. And Alex, also to kind of highlight, we're going to put all of the necessary links to the video description below as well, but what would be the best way to learn more about the software? What website address, or is there a contact email sellers could reach out to?
Sure, of course. So I would strongly suggest to check out the demo account for Sellerboard for Shopify. This is the exact account I was using for the purposes of this demonstration. So if you want to do that, go to sellerboard.io and look for the demo account on the landing page, and then access the demo account, play around with the software, and see how it might fit your needs. By the way, there's a 30-day by default or free trial, but by the way, for Orange Click followers and audience, we will have an extended period. So go ahead and connect your account, see how the software will benefit you.
Okay, sounds great. As always, it was a pleasure to do the interview with you and learn about the new software you have developed. Hopefully, sellers are all excited about it, have more questions, so we can record more videos in the future as well. So hope to see you soon again.
Thank you again for the invitation, Lizette. It's been a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and it will help you to boost your e-commerce business if you decide to expand on Shopify, and maybe you're already using Sellerboard for your Amazon business. You can use it for Shopify as well. If you are new to Sellerboard, you're welcome to check their software by clicking the link below in the description. We have also a free trial, I think, for 2 months. And don't forget to click like and subscribe below this video. If you have additional questions about Shopify dashboard on Sellerboard, leave them below in the comment section below. And now check out this video where you will learn more about features that Sellerboard app is offering to e-commerce sellers.